Hi, everybody. Richard Morin here for AZ Central Sports Roundtable, joined by Bob McManaman, Kent Summers, and Katherine Fitzgerald. The gang is all here. And in a sports landscape right now where a lot is quiet, that has not been the case with the Arizona Cardinals, guys, as you know. That's why we had to bring so many of you here right now. I want to start with Bobby Mack first. Bob, can you just give us a quick rundown of all the news that is basically taken place just in the last few days or so, it seems like, since we've been quarantined? What's the latest?
How long do we have? Because it's going to take 3 days to probably fill that out. Everyone knows about the big catch in DeAndre Hopkins. That they say it's finalized, but it's really not until he takes his physical. Same with David Johnson. The good news is both teams are saying it's pretty much all there. So a lot of people were worried if that was going to be a hiccup of some type. Don't know if either one has had a physical yet. That's still kind of weighing in the back of my mind, just because you never know. But since both teams have said it's official, I'm not worried about it. Since then, the Cardinals have been really active. They've re-signed or reinsured. They brought back at least 10 of their own free agents. They filled needs at every single position that they needed to fill. And they could do anything they want now at number 8 overall in the first round of the draft next month. I can't wait to see what that is.
Katherine, what do you make of these additions? How do you feel like the Cardinals are shaping? I mean, obviously, we're before the draft, and free agency is not and by no means over yet. But how are the Cardinals looking so far in your eyes?
Yeah, I think it'll be really exciting to see now what they do with this offense. With the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, obviously that's a huge weapon for Kyler Murray, who now has a full year under his belt of playing at the NFL level in Cliff's offense. Cliff Kingsbury likes a lot of times during press conferences to go out of his way to remind us that they also run the ball. So they kind of figured out what they were doing there too with keeping Kenyon Drake and Johnson headed to Houston, but still just to add a receiver like Hopkins, I think it'll make this offense really fun to watch.
And obviously we are going to know a lot more once or if we even get an NFL draft, or how we're going to get an NFL draft. Ken, can you speak to that a little bit?
It's going to be like this.
It's so strange against the backdrop of what the draft has become the last couple of years, moving it around to different cities. Philadelphia. Last year I was in Nashville and witnessed 100,000 people on the streets for the draft, and for this year all of that's gone. For Las Vegas, it's a whole new world. And really it'll be, I wonder if it'll be like the old days of the NFL draft, where it's just at the NFL offices and each team has its own like helmet phone, and they'll do it that way. That'd be kind of cool if they just accepted all of this and went retro. And then getting back to what Mac was said about the trade, the only hang up being physicals, and now this edict that they're not going to have physicals, that's going to be delayed, that the whole thing is just on hold. And you wonder, not just with the Hopkins thing, I think that will go through, but you wonder if some deal at the last minute gets killed because a guy doesn't pass a physical, a team finds out about something you didn't know about, et cetera. It's just a strange new world we're in.
I guess when it comes to the draft, I know a lot of people were talking about CeeDee Lamb and obviously the obvious connections between him and Kyler Murray. Do any of you sense that maybe the priorities the Cardinals were targeting in the draft may have changed at the DeAndre Hopkins trade, or is that a bit premature?
I'll jump in on that, Rick. I have my second mock drafts coming out Friday, and there's some interesting spots available there. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't put it past the Cardinals. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to be there at 8, and even though they don't really need him, it would be awful tempting for them to pass on CeeDee Lamb. Kyler Murray wants him. It's his former buddy. It's his buddy. It's his former teammate. They're pretty set at receiver, but if Isaiah Simmons falls to them, I think they take Isaiah Simmons. And I don't really think an offensive tackle is that glaring of a need right now, as much as everyone outside this organization seems to think it is. And it still may very well be a lineman, but you've got a left tackle and you've got a right tackle coming back in Justin Murray. I don't think it's imperative. CeeDee Lamb, Larry's still going to retire someday, maybe. You're going to have to find him. You've got a number 1 in DeAndre, add a number 1, 1A, 1B. I'd take that in a heartbeat. But I know everybody's screaming for OT. I think everything's on the table, but they can do anything they want, like I said earlier.
I would love to see them take a CD Lamb. What a fun story. We get, as Katherine alluded to, we get to ask Cliff in the press conference, so are you just going to do away with the running game and go 5 wide and just throw it? I mean, just
tight ends. Say bye-bye, tight ends.
Yeah, Cliff has never squirmed at all, and so that's kind of our goal, is to get him to do that, and who knows, that might make it happen.
Yeah, who cares if they win? We just want to have good stories, you know.
Yeah,
right.
I'm down with that.
I agree. I don't think it precludes them from doing anything. Maybe it's less likely they go receiver. It's a deep receiver, or they don't go receiver. It's a deep receiver draft. They think they can get a guy later, but that hasn't worked too well for this club in recent years. With last year led by Andy Isabella, where the 3 rookies basically don't even get on the field.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, Matt, go ahead and finish that thought.
Don't forget, they also traded away their 2nd-round pick, where they could have got a receiver if they passed on Lamb or Jerry Jeudy. They had the 40th overall pick. One of those star receivers would have been there, and now they're not going to get a chance unless they trade down to pick up more draft capital, which they could. Do you agree, Kat and Kent?
Yeah, I think that's a possibility for sure. Oh, sorry, jumped in over everyone. I think trading back's a possibility for sure. And Kent, I think that's a good point too. With last year, obviously they went looking for wide receivers in the draft and didn't quite find it there. Obviously, those guys still have plenty of time to develop, but to not really get any of them involved in their rookie season, I think that could shape what they look at this year.
Well, a shameless plug there from Bobby Mack. You can check out his late mock draft on Friday, sports.azcentral.com, as well as all the great content of these 3 guys and all of the rest of us at AZ Central Sports, putting out sports.azcentral.com, of course. Now, I want to toss this one up to wrap it up, and anybody here can just take it and crank it out of the park. I'm just going to toss it up there. With all of these moves that the Cardinals have made so far, what kind of realistic expectations are we putting on this team for next year?
I think a winning record's an expectation. I really do. I'm not saying double-digit wins, but I think it's easy to see this team improve to 9 victories. We see it happen every year in the NFL. We've seen, last to first stories. I think you can make a case that this team has passed the Rams in the division. I'm all for raising expectations. I mean, 8 wins in 2 years. Yeah, let's jack the expectations up. The time of winning 5 games and everybody patting Cliff on the back and saying great job, which is legitimate, but that was a 1-year thing. That's gone.
Well, they got a better logo than the Rams, I'll tell you that.
And the Chargers. I'll say this, if I may. I agree with Kent, but I think anything less than a winning season is unacceptable. I know it's only 2 years in a new system, but they've done enough, spent enough money, brought in enough big players over the last couple of years. It's time to do it. And Steve Keim's resurrected his self as a GM in this league. He can't afford to have anything less than a 9-win season. I think they go 10-6, and I think they might have a shot with an extra team in the wild card for each conference. I think it's a possibility.
And the final word to Fitz.
Yeah, I think the NFC West is going to be really exciting to watch in general. But yeah, towards the end of the season, you saw them finally starting to figure out a few more things and even looking better and competitive, which, compared to the season before was a big jump there. So yeah, I think a winning record could be in reach this year now that they've, everyone benefits from having that extra year under Cliff, and now they're adding in other players too. So bodes well.
All right, well, thanks to all 3 of you guys for joining us here for the latest episode of AZ Central Sports Roundtable. Of course, you can read all 3 of these fine folks, including myself, at sports.azcentral.com, as well as the rest of our fine staff as well. Thanks to Brian Snyder holding that down in the studio for us. For Kent, Katherine, and Bobby Mack, I'm Richard Morin. We'll see you guys later.